All right, everyone, good morning. We have reached Thursday, and this is the morning briefing from the Celtic Way. Looking back on Celtic's victory over Dundee United, moving the team 16 points clear at the top. Plenty to discuss, and also a bit of speculation about Kyogo as well. John is with me. John, they're filtering in already. People are keen this morning. How are you getting on?
I'm doing good. It is nice to see familiar faces saying good morning and saying hello. So, welcome to everyone who joins us every day. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, enjoyed the match last night and yeah, looking forward to chatting about it.
Right, we've got this running at the moment. I spoke about it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get 6 months of access for the Celtic
Yep.
Way for just £1.
Mm-hmm. So, I've come on board the Celtic Way, managed to wangle a generous subscription offer to just try and get people into what we're about and kind of going forward in a new way with the site and the channel, etc. We've got plans for 2025, so it's just an opportunity for people to get on board early and have a full 6 months access for just £1. So if you like what we do on the channel or you want to know more about what we do on the website, then get involved. It massively helps us to have a pool of subscribers, so it would be fantastic for you to do. And as you say, you get loads for it. I mean, we're all over Celtic on a daily basis, dedicated coverage. We're at grounds around the country, around Europe, throughout the season. So we're there trying to get the news from the Celtic camp itself, tracking down the transfer latest, being all over the breaking news as well, and also with lots of analysis and opinion and utilising stuff like exclusive data from StatBomb. We've got access to Y-Scout. We're into all these things. So if you like Celtic news and analysis and opinion, and you like us and you like what we do, then consider giving us a wee subscription. £1 for 6 months isn't a bad deal. It's pretty cheap and you'll get a full range of what we do. We also do a daily newsletter. So I'm writing daily newsletters that go out to the subscriber base. Just a wee note from myself, just rounding up the day, thinking about what's next with regards to Celtic and everything. So there's lots to enjoy for that small price.
How do I sign up to the newsletter? Because I don't know. Did I get that? I signed up last week. I don't know if I get the newsletter.
So we've just made a change to the newsletter. So we've got a subscriber exclusive newsletter now. So if you're a subscriber to the Celtic Way, this £1 for 6 months, you'll get this exclusive subscriber exclusive newsletter in your inbox every day at 5 p.m. There's also one that has like the latest news that goes out at 9 a.m. that we will be writing from time to time as well. But sometimes that will just be headlines.
Okay, no problem at all. Yes, job done last night. You're saying you quite enjoyed the game. Would you go that far?
Enjoy's maybe not the right word. I thought it was routine, and I always enjoy seeing Celtic pick up a routine win. There was no hassle in the game for me. I know it got a little bit nervy in that second half, but I felt Celtic were pretty much in control of it. United were very negative in that first half, and I think their second half performance showed that if you show a little bit more ambition on the ball, then you can cause Celtic, more problems than just sitting in and defending. And I thought United were improved in the second half, but Celtic dealt with them well defensively, I would say, for the most part. And I think, Rodgers talked that up after the game, but that defensive resilience has been a real key of this team. I know we had the horror results at Ibrox and in Dortmund, but apart from that, Celtic's defending this season has been pretty good. And I think that's given Celtic the platform to go in and win these games, whether it's tight or whether it's free flowing.
Yeah, it's good you bring up the defence. I had it pointed out to me earlier on my own channel that we have conceded 6 goals in our last 11 matches. And we know the 6 goals, they were all against Rangers. So we've kept 9 clean sheets in our last 11 matches, but conceded 3 goals in the other 2 games. So it's a bizarre quirk, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what you want from a Celtic team. Obviously, you want Celtic to be playing in the right way and playing some nice football. But if Celtic are looking shaky at the back, it puts the fear into Celtic fans like nothing else. We saw that, if we've seen that in recent years when Celtic aren't defending, there's a lot of speculation or a lot of chat about how we need to change that and defend more resiliently. And I think for the most part Celtic have this season. And I think that was part of the performance last night. And for right or wrong, Hamish, about what Rodgers said this week, and we're not going to go over it again. I'm not going to relitigate all that. But right or wrong about what he said, he was right in the sense that this is a difficult period of the season for Celtic. there's matches every few days. It's the depths of winter. I think it was -3 or -4 at Celtic Park last night.
Yeah.
It's not ideal for the players. The pitches are they're not. It's not. The pitch wasn't in terrible shape yesterday. It did look a bit bobbly, a bit sparse in a couple of areas, but it's certainly less optimal to like the early season football where the pitches are much nicer and much easier to play on. And I think that's really his point, is that the players are going through this tough period and trying to win these matches and will win these matches far more often than not. And I think last night was more evidence of that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we see it virtually every season, these tricky months. I guess the difference this year, and it's going to be the case going forward, there's no winter break. In
Yeah,
previous
exactly.
years, Celtic tend to stumble over the line into the winter break, and then we get a couple of weeks off. And usually, not last season, but usually we come back flying. Remember all those seasons in Roger's first spell at the club where we'd kind of, as I say, limp over the line a bit at the end of the year and come back from the winter break absolutely flying. This year we don't have that, so it's a bit of a different one, I think, for the team to work out this year. You know, like how do we just get back to those really good performances? But I think generally we can't complain other than the derby. Celtic have been pretty faultless through this period. I mean, as I say, we're not conceding goals in the main. We're scoring goals as well. I mean, last night was only 2-0, but we're winning a lot of games 3-0. And this is a tricky point in the season. So we really we really can't complain. We do, because we're perfectionists and we always want better and we know how good this team are. But I think Celtic are doing great. Really liked Austin Trusty last night. I know he didn't have a lot to do, but I think he and Carter Vickers looks like a really good partnership to me.
It does look more solid, doesn't it? And I think if, the reason Trusty came out of the team is apparently we weren't moving the ball quick enough. But I think if Trusty can, add that and develop that part of his game, and hopefully he can become even better at it going forward, then I think we're onto a winner with that combination. They just seem the right fit to me. They seem right the right fit personality wise. It seems like a proper duo, and I don't think Carter Vickers has really had that since Starfelt left. So it would be good to see this pairing get a real run in the team now. And I'm not one of these Scales. Like, I've been probably more defensive of Scales over the last year than a lot of people, but I do think Trusty and Carter Vickers is the partnership to move forward with Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Carol Starfelt as well. To me, Trusty has the potential to be better than Starfelt. I think he looks more assured generally. And I repeat, I really quite liked Carol Starfelt. But just as I say, Trusty didn't have a lot to do last night, but he just looks strong to me. He looks commanding, but he's quick as well. I really think there's something to work with there. And Carter Vickers obviously just breezes through these games. So excited about that. Arnie Engels is playing really well at the moment as well.
Yeah.
A lot of really nice bits of play last night. Confident play. He looks like a different player to the guy a month ago who was clearly suffering a little bit for whatever reason. But his kind of one-touch stuff last night was really good.
Yeah, it feels like he's taking more responsibility on his shoulders to actually impact the game, on a personal basis. Before, it was kind of like he was drifting into the team performance a little bit, but he's starting to stand out more. He's starting to impact the game a little bit more, and he's got great technique with his shots and set pieces. And I think he has the potential to add those goals to his game that we're looking for. And I want him now. Obviously, he's had this like little consistent run of good midfield performances, but it'd be great to see him become that more goal scoring midfielder that we're kind of craving. Because the goals aren't coming from Kyogo or Ida at the moment, so they're coming from the wings, and they might need to come from midfield too.
One thing I would point out, Francis is bringing up the kind of balls fired across the goal. That was a real theme of last night, and probably just generally when you watch Celtic in recent months, like we do that a lot. Like Daizen Maeda does it virtually every time he gets the ball. He'll take that big touch down the wing and put it across, and sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. I'd maybe like players to be on the end of it a little bit more, and I know Francis kind of singling out Ida. I think, midfielders can maybe get on the end of things a bit more. Just feel like we're getting in a lot of really good areas. Alistair Johnson in the overlap, putting balls across, and there's quite often a defender getting to it rather than a Celtic player. So that's just a wee note I've got. But generally, I think it was good.
Yeah. The thing about Ida, and this is because I think it will start to become a talking point soon, is the fact that he's not scored for a while. And I don't think he's scored in 10 games. I think it's as long as that. So
Tynecastle, was that his last goal?
Yeah, he needs to get back on. He needs to get back on the scoring machine, and we need him. And we need him to. We need him to step up as that central striker because obviously there's a
Yeah.
lot of speculation going on around Kyogo at the moment, and we're not quite sure how that's going to develop over the next month or so. And we're really needing Ida to like get back to scoring ways. I know he has. I think he got 8 goals this season, which
Yeah.
isn't a bad return given the amount of minutes that he's had. But he started recently and he's not really scoring or not really looking like he's going to score. To be honest, so we really need him to start showing a bit more.
So what is the issue with Ida? Because I mean, I've watched him a fair bit, and he seems to do relatively good things. I mean, he's quite hit or miss. Like sometimes he'll try and link the play, and he'll kind of give it away, but other times he'll look quite polished. But it seemed in recent weeks, and I don't think he's had any major chances, which might be an issue in itself. But it seemed to me that when he's been getting half chances, he's kind of been sclaffing them a bit or not looking quite composed. So maybe he's struggling for a little bit for confidence.
The way Celtic play, I think sometimes can isolate the striker, and I think he gets a little bit frustrated with that and tries to drop deeper or tries to go into the wide areas more to try and kind of be more involved in the game, if you were. I think if he just stayed in those dangerous positions and tried to show a bit more movement or try to get past the defender in that box, I think he would have more joy in terms of the goal scoring, which is really what Kyogo does. Kyogo can not be in a game for so long or have like 10 touches in a 60 minutes of a game, but he might score two of those times because he's alive in the box and he's always looking to get off the shoulder of the defender. Whereas he does trying to have more impact on the game with some success and some not, but he's not really doing, I think what the system requires of you, which is, feasting on those low cross balls into the box, maybe some ricochets in the box, or kind of hitting that early run that someone like McCowan or McGregor or someone can loft the ball over to you. He's not quite finding any of that at the moment. So yeah, it's a strange one. And yeah, we just want him to be given more of an impact.
I think so. I mean, I know there's a fair bit of criticism for Ida in the chat, mainly coming from Danny Boy, it must be said. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. I like Ida. Genuinely, I think there's something to work with there, but I do think in recent weeks that he can be doing more and he needs to be scoring for Celtic. Because as you say, you can't go, whatever it is, 10 games without scoring because then it becomes a talking point and it's going to become an even bigger talking point, especially with the Kyogo stuff that's going on. And we will come to that shortly, everyone. So stay tuned. Nicholas Kuhn pulled up in the warm-up. It's a thigh injury, upper thigh,
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers says. We don't know for sure, but maybe seems like it's not too bad. It's maybe more precautionary, but I think we'll know more soon.
It did seem like more of a precaution. So Rogers said that after the game, and then there was footage of the warm up doing the rounds as well, where it's like he's kind of feel, you can see him feel the top of his thigh, and it wasn't like he's gone down or he's torn something or anything crazy like that. I don't think so. The chat is going to be assessed today, so I'm sure we'll hear more from Rogers in his press conference tomorrow ahead of Ross County. But even if he misses the weekend, it doesn't seem like he's going to be out for a long period.
Good. What was Brendan Rodgers saying after the game generally? Then was he in quite good form?
Yeah, he was showing some good humour in response to the Green Brigade singing through a list of former favourites. the Green Brigade were chanting for lots of players, just in kind of response to that furore around kind of singing for Kieran Tierney was disrespectful. It was a wee bit of good humour from the Green Brigade, a wee bit of good humour from Brendan Rodgers after, who said, I think it was only the kit man who didn't get a song tonight. So that's all done and dusted. Both sides have shown a bit of humour there, and that's what we like to see. But generally, he was pretty pleased with the performance. As he says, he was kind of highlighting that defensive resilience as well, and had praise for Reho Tate as well, who took his goal well. So he was in good spirits, and I think he's quite happy with how things are bubbling along at the moment, and as most people are.
Yeah, I thought the atmosphere was good last night. I was kind of glad to see that the kind of whatever the kind of bad feeling maybe from the weekend hadn't carried in. And I think everyone was ready to move on, which I think is right. We had a few days of it, but let's say get on to the important stuff. Job done, 16 points clear. And we move on to Ross County on Saturday. Whether that game's on or not, there's maybe going to be a bit of doubt about that. I think heading for -7, maybe even lower than that in the Highlands over the weekend. So we'll wait and see. I hope it's on, personally. let's get up there, get a good crowd up there, and get another 3 points.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is weird, this kind of no winter break thing, and we might see a couple more postponements than we usually see. Winter hits hard in Scotland in January and February more often now, and yeah, but hopefully we just get up there, get the points, get down the road, and move on.
Natalie asking if Kuhn will be okay for Saturday. We'll wait and see, Natalie. I think we'll probably hear more from the manager on tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Anything else from last night generally?
I thought Craig Taylor had a pretty good game. There's a lot of chat about him this week, and I thought he was good on there. I don't think it was quite his 200th game. There's a bit of chat. I think Roger said before the game it was his 200th game for Celtic, but I think that's actually against Ross County this weekend. It was his 199th game, for anyone wondering. And yeah, he looks like nothing phases him, doesn't he? I don't think too much phases him, so he'll be good to go. And I thought he did well kind of coming in. He was very central last night, but that helps Celtic against the teams with a low block because it gives us an extra man and an extra pass. So I thought he was decent.
Yeah, so good all round, as I say, job done. Now, there is a fair bit of chat going on at the moment, and it's kind of speculation that's growing. I think it's fair to say that potentially Kyogo could be off ski this month, could potentially be heading, I think, to the MLS with Atlanta, who signed Georgios Giacomakis from us a number of years ago. I think there was something about a false article that was posted yesterday, and it said basically on the official MLS website, Kyogo's been signed. It was then deleted, it must be said, but that's a wee bit kind of strange because it was on the official MLS site, wasn't it?
Yeah, so how it went down, as far as I'm aware, is that some sort of article went up on the official MLS website. And then what happens is Google caches that article and caches the headline of that article. So it showed up on Google. So even if they deleted that within 5-10 minutes of publishing, it would have cached itself on Google and stayed there until it disappears from Google or whatever. So people started seeing it on Google. I think it was during the match last night. People started seeing this story on Google that Kyogo had signed for Atlanta. What's happened there is purely speculation. We don't know whether that's... Sometimes these organisations and stuff, they write stuff in advance and then publish it when it becomes official. And whether they've published that by mistake or whatever is... We don't know. We've actually reached out for comment to MLS and Atlanta United just to see if they can give us any steer on what actually happened with that. They did sign another Japanese player yesterday, and there's some chat that was... I don't think it's... It doesn't seem like confusion to me. They're two totally different players from two totally different clubs. That would be a little bit absurd. It does feel like there was some sort of shell article ready to go live or might go live that has been published in error. Whether that is the case, I suppose we'll wait and see. But there was chat last month, just before Christmas, that Atlanta United were interested in Kyogo. So that is another bit of a coincidence. So it's all a bit messy. And it doesn't, ease any concerns that, it doesn't ease the concerns that Kyogo might be off over the next month or so. Now, the MLS window closes in February, I think. So they would have time to sign him even after January. But it would be a surprise to me, personally, for Celtic to sell Kyogo before the Young Boys game. That seems like it would be an error to me. I don't know why they would have to rush any sale through. That's just what I'm thinking. But Kyogo also turns 30 this month, and if there's good money available, it's a possibility that Celtic are looking to life after Kyogo, or he wants his big move. It is a messy one, Hamish. I don't know what you think about it all, but it's all a bit messy.
I should just point out Ronnie Deila manages Atlanta United these days as well, so there's a Celtic link in there as well, away from the Giacomakis stuff. Giacomakis not there anymore, by the way. He doesn't have to be second fiddle to Kyogo again, potentially, because he wouldn't take that well. It seems like there's something potentially going on here, I think it's fair to say. It seems like, that there might be a possibility of Kyogo leaving, which, to be honest, was a bit unthinkable to me until kind of hearing about this recently. I really didn't think he would, but it's interesting, and we'll go through a few comments. But the general feeling, and I need to probably get more comments, but the general feeling seems to be that it might not actually be the worst time, and and Kyogo's obviously been amazing for us. But that it might not be the worst thing ever to move Kyogo on and bring someone in. Now, I know when I'm saying that, I'm almost doubting myself because we all love Kyogo so much. But you know what I mean? Like, things do move on, and potentially there might be a striker out there who's a better fit for a Brendan Rodgers team. Potentially, I agree with you though. Obviously, no new striker could be signed for the last two Champions League games, so he couldn't. We can't afford to lose him before those games. Simple as that. If he has to go during the winter window, then he has to go after those games. Simply for me, and we obviously have to ideally sign a really good replacement. I'm talking a top replacement prior to him leaving as well. Those are the kind of non-negotiables for me. If that was to happen, I could potentially make my peace with it, as much as I've loved Kyogo more than probably any Celtic striker in my time following the club.
Yeah, I love Kyogo as well. I think he's been a fantastic player. One of my favourite players to watch at Celtic for a long time. Obviously, this season less impactful, but I think on top form against quality opposition, he's still the striker that you fancy most to start and score or have an impact in those types of games. He has that touch of quality that can be or is increasingly rare in Scottish football. I think he does have a quality that, if he didn't spend so long developing in the Japanese leagues, would he have been playing in a bigger league? I think there's an argument to say that he would have, but his career panned out the way it panned out, and Celtic took advantage of that. And I think he's enjoyed his time at Celtic too. And it's been a good relationship for both. He's been adored, and he's enjoyed being adored, and he's enjoyed sticking the ball in the back of the net. And we've all enjoyed watching him. I just think the prospect of selling Kyogo without already having a replacement on board or on the verge of signing is a little bit crazy to me, especially with so many important games coming up. But the transfer market is the transfer market, and we've all seen this story before. And it's inevitable, there's going to be life after Kyogo for Celtic at some point, and whether it comes now and whether Celtic are ready to do that now, only they know. But hopefully when it does happen, they are actually ready, and we're not scrambling around for a replacement or a kind of panic signing. Celtic need to have their ducks lined up in a row for this one, because Kyogo is too impactful and too good of a player to just let go without having a replacement lined up.
Yeah, Christopher saying none of our first team players should be sold until replacements are incoming. Totally agree with that. Be Dizzy saying selling Kyogo for Young Boys game when we can't bring in a replacement is insanity. Plenty of other chat there. Obviously, a few people saying this might just be paper talk. As you say, we've kind of reached out to the MLS and Atlanta to see if there's any comment there. So clearly,
because it's their error. It's not come from nowhere. It did happen. It did go up on the MLS website, and something has happened with their editorial team or their media teams, PR team. Something has happened. So what has happened, I don't know. I don't suppose Celtic will be too happy with how whatever panned out last night, because it doesn't look good that another team is announcing the sale of your striker when he's still playing for Celtic on the pitch at that moment. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, if he does go, I think it's fair to say that it will be Celtic's decision. Celtic will be all right with moving Kyogo on, rightly or wrongly. So I think you take a little bit of comfort in that. If it does happen, Brendan Rodgers will have sanctioned it, and he will probably feel that a replacement can be signed. But I think that's, as I say, that's the non-negotiables for me. So it could be an exciting January then, if that kind of stuff's going on, and the Tierney stuff and the winger stuff. Is there any update on any of the other stuff?
No, there was some chat that Celtic are interested in a young Irish striker, who Spurs and other teams in Europe are also interested in, but that's one for the future. He's only 17. Mason Melly, I think, is his name. He plays for the Irish under-19s, and he wouldn't be able to arrive until next January anyway because of Brexit rules, for under-18s or something like that. So that's the only kind of transfer story that's been really on the go over the last 24 hours. There's been nothing too much new. I think. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more over the coming days, because I think Celtic will be signing, 2 or 3 players, hopefully. And as we know, departures are possible.
Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting time. But yeah, generally things are ticking along, and As I say, another victory last night. Ross County on Saturday will be a challenge, but just an opportunity to get another 3 points. We've got Dundee Rangers tonight as well, so we'll see how Rangers go. And we're playing Dundee next week, aren't we, as well, in midweek, so it'll be good to get a look at them.
I mean, it does bring up the point that being 16 points clear at this stage of the season is pretty remarkable. That I'm not sure if it's unprecedented, but it must be close to being unprecedented. Even if it goes back to 13 tonight, it's still a remarkable position to be in, considering we've lost the derby as well. So it is Celtic are in such a strong position, and everyone's looking forward to the European games, and Celtic just need to keep ticking over then. And I think the team showed enough for me last night that they're not in that complacent mode. I think they are fighting to get back to where they are and get back to their best through some difficult conditions. And I think there could be difficult conditions in the Highlands again this weekend, but you would back Celtic to find their way to victory and at the very least not lose the game. I think if we don't win the game, I don't think we're going to lose it either. So
yeah,
Celtic will just keep ticking over and with these bigger games, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we got a comment in earlier saying I think we've kept clean sheets in 17 of the 21 league games so far this season. I mean, that's a ridiculous record. To look at that, I'm actually thinking, it was 17 because I think obviously Rangers, Hearts, Aberdeen, and I think Ross County actually up in Dingwall, the 4 games we've conceded in. So that last game in Dingwall was a bit of a struggle as well. It was right after Dortmund and they took the lead, didn't they? And we came back to win the game. So I guess that's fresh in the player's mind, and it's always a bit of a struggle up there, but we'll have a good support up there.
It will be interesting if Rodgers rotates the team, because there was no changes for last night's game at all, and he does like to. He does like to freshen up the team, and I thought Hatate looked a bit better coming off the bench than what he has in recent weeks. Obviously got his goal as well, so I wonder if Hatate will be to start. Bernardo could start as well, so there might be a few tweaks and changes to the team, as Rodgers likes to do, to, as he says, freshen things up.
It's interesting because he has rotated the team from game to game. Virtually, since we started playing 2 games a week, it's been kind of the 2 midfielders game to game. McGregor plays, and it's usually switched between the matches. And I just wonder if certain things in recent weeks, maybe Hatate's level just meant that Rodgers didn't want to start him. I don't know that I'd be rushing to start him on Saturday. I thought he was good when he came on, but I think it's been a bit of a pattern in recent months, maybe longer than that. That coming into games, he's pretty good. I think when games open up, he's pretty good. But I think in the early stages of games, he can be pretty lax in possession, and against virtually anyone, you don't need that. So I'd probably have Bernardo back in alongside Engels and McGregor for Saturday. We're kind of, front three. How much are you going to change there? Obviously, if there's anything happening with Kyogo, Ida could potentially start again, but Maida and hopefully Kuhn's back. But if not, Yang will play again. But it feels we've only got James Forrest out at the moment, but it does feel like we're maybe lacking options a little bit. So we could do with maybe a few players just surprising us from the bench and really forcing their way into the manager's plans.
I mean, I always think we can do a few players. I don't think I've ever looked at a Celtic squad and thought, this is 100% complete. So hopefully, I think Rodgers thinks the same way. So hopefully, that is something that transpires in January. Because I do think, with Forrest out, with Kuhn out, I mean, Yang, I'm unconvinced by Yang wholly. So we do need other options there.
Always Zilla's just called me the GOAT.
Oh,
what a
nice
legend.
One.
You're the GOAT as well, Zilla. What's happening on the website? Anything
we'll have stats bomb analysis today. We've got access to that. We've got an interview coming up as well with a former player. We've got all sorts. We're looking ahead at the profile of what some wingers that Celtic could sign might look like over the coming days as well, and also kind of looking into Rodgers' comments this week and how it translates to the performance of Celtic this season. That's coming up as analysis too. So we've got all sorts of going on alongside all the usual news updates, quotes, and obviously Ryan and Tony are going up to the game in Dingwall this weekend. So they're driving up together. So there'll be full coverage of the match on the YouTube channel as well.
Excellent stuff. Just a reminder, we have this offer going at the moment. 6 months of access for £1. That's the kind of things that you can get there. And if you want to become a subscriber to the YouTube channel, it's completely free. Helps to boost the numbers, helps us to find more Celtic fans like you, and it means you can get notified whenever we go live. Literally just click that button. It's completely free, and it means a hell of a lot to all of us. Okay, we'll head for now. Thanks, John. Catch up with you soon. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be back this time tomorrow.